Peace, family. It's your boy Zay-P. Zay-P to I am. I am that I am, as you are that you are, for we are all that we are. I just want to get into real quick. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, that follow if you wherever this is posted at on social media. We really could use the support and the love, and we're trying to spread as many positive, insightful messages and jewels to awaken as many people as we can, because we all cannot rise until every last one of us is ready to move up. Otherwise, the entire group is still submerged. So, that said, let's get right to the message. So the first thing that I want to talk about, which my guides have been talking to me about recently, is the idea of religions. It's particularly to atheism and atheists. Now, the idea of the atheist is that there is no God. There is no God save there is no God. There's just us here in this moment, in these fleeting moments we have that we call life. And then when we die, we recede back into the nothingness. At least that is my layman termed analogy as I understand it. I'm sure there are many atheists out there who will have more in-depth insight as to the perspective of that specific train of thought, but this is just my layman's caviar breakdown. So I wanted to talk about this idea because I feel that atheism gets a bad rap, and I feel like those we call atheists are actually onto something and are actually offering some insights to the world that everyone can benefit from. Now, I don't personally agree with that, with the idea that there is nothing beyond us in the here and now, and that there is no God or anything like that. For a good majority of my life, I identified myself as agnostic, where I believed in God and spirituality and things greater and beyond man, but I just did not believe or assign myself to religion. Although I have spent many years studying various religions. That said, coming from that point of view, I always looked at atheism as something to explore, to understand more, to discover with regards to myself, to discover with regards to whether or not it was a mindset that I wanted to follow. And so from that, what I have found is that there's something very valuable with regards to the insight that there is nothing more than us. There's something very valuable to the idea that we are on our own. And this is not to say that we are actually on our own, but the thing that atheists get right is that it is up to us, that we are in full control of our lives. It is completely up to us, specifically to create the lives that we want. This one little grain of truth is grander than many, many truths in various religions. And I'll tell you why. Source, the creator, the oneness of all, the all, has put us in this free will plane, has put us in this space where we are gods unto ourselves. You can even look at your Bibles, which it says we were created in the image and form and the likeness of God, of source. That said, you have, as a God, you are a God. You are crafting your own reality, your own personal, individualized reality. Now, there are many aspects of that is co-created, whether that's meeting other people, you want to settle down and have a family, you can create that in your life. But you got to understand there's a co-creative element to that, right? You want to create that in your life, but first you have to meet the right people, right? You have to find the person, the mate, the spouse that you want to connect with, right? They have to be creating on their own end. You're creating on your end, right? You want to have children with them. They're creating on their end as far as being healthy and being able to produce children. You're doing the same on your end, right? It's a co-creative effort. Now the children are born, and now you have a family, right? You've created all of this in your specific reality. At the same time, there was efforts from others and their specific realities in order to come together to create this overall reality, right? There was you, there was your partner. That partner was doing their thing, you're doing your thing. You know what you wanted to create. Your partner wanted to create something along those lines. You came together, y'all created that. Now together, in that togetherness, y'all creating more and more from that space. Now, that's not to say everything you do with your partner will be you two creating together. This is still your individual reality. That is still their individual reality. But you are both gods unto your respective individual realities. What that means is that there is no higher authority or higher perspective that's looking down on you, judging you, telling you what you can have, what you cannot have. This is a free will plane. And being gods unto ourselves, you can have whatever you can envision, whatever you can imagine it. If you can imagine, if you can envision, you are in full capacity to create that in your reality. Then there are things where what you imagine, what you can envision, can grow and be grander in scope, greater than what you could even imagine. But the starting point was maybe your imagination, right? So that said, it always comes down to you. This is why one of the biggest things that I talk about, that I share, especially when I'm connected to the I am essence, is that it is all about self-love, self-care. You have to be willing to put yourself first. Now, I know this is a little bit of a controversial statement because we're conditioned to think we need to put others first. We need to put everybody else first. We need to consider ourselves last. And that sounds like a very honorable thing. But in this sensitive time where we throw around terms like toxic masculinity, toxic this and that, that is a bit of a toxic perspective to have, to think you have to take care of everybody else first before you address yourself. And I'll explain this to you briefly. When you take care of yourself last, it's just like when you go on the plane. I know you heard this example many times. You go on the plane, the first thing the pilot says, if such and such happens, the air mask will drop down. Put your ear mask on first, even if you are with small children. Put your ear mask on first so that you can have the mental clarity and the wherewithal to then have clear thought and know what to do and how to assist your children, right? But if you're not putting your mask on first, what happens? You maybe get the mask on your child. If you have more than one child, if you have two child, maybe you get a mask on one child. Maybe the second child, you don't even get the mask on because you might pass out by that time for yourself, right? Or maybe you kind of get the mask on. Yes, you're doing for others first, but will you be doing the best job? Will you be the most effective? Rather than had you put on the air mask for yourself first, and then had the clarity and mental thought to be able to say, this child needs their air mask, that child needs their air mask. If somebody needs CPR, you have the mental clarity to say, okay, I need to resuscitate, I need to do this. You can't do that when there's no oxygen going to your brain, though. So that is the specific example that you hear all the time. Getting on an airplane, getting on something as, tedious and monotonous and traditional as traveling, they will tell you, you have to consider yourself first. When it comes to love, a lot of people want to put out the sentiment, I love so great, I love so hard, I love everybody first. I love everybody more than I love myself. I have even had clients and people that I work with and close friends who will flat out tell me, they can't imagine even really truly loving themselves. They can't, I had a friend who was going through a breakup, and she was kind of crying on my shoulder and venting to me. And so I was talking to her about this love that she's seeking and how she's not offering any of that to herself first and foremost. She keeps looking around for everybody else to do it for her. But she is unwilling to do it for herself. Now, her retort was something along the lines of that's how she was raised, yada yada. She's such a good nature, loving, kind, caring, giving person like that. I give to everybody first. I give to everybody else. They're the priorities. And that sounds sweet and honorable, and I admire that. Same time, if you're not giving yourself the love that you wish to receive, how can you wish to receive it from everybody else? Now, what was happening is that she's kind of in the cycle of telling me flat out she can't imagine loving herself, not like the ways that she wants. But she's devastated that this person she was with has broken up with her. She can't really wrap her mind around why. Now, my thought is, and this is not about the why of why they broke up, but my thought is, if you can't love yourself enough, how can you be mad at anyone else for not loving you the way you wish to be loved? You're setting the example. If you treat yourself like crap all the time with this particular person, you set the example that it's okay to treat you like crap, because you treat yourself like crap, right? So clearly that's the way you prefer to be treated, or that's the way you need to be treated. I don't know. But that is kind of how things in life work. We cannot expect others to do the things for us that we need to be doing for ourselves. For it is no one else's job to live our life for us. There's no one else's job. Everybody here comes specifically for one reason, and that is themselves. And that sounds like a horrible statement, but just hold off on the judgments and just stick with me. I'm not saying that people come here for themselves, because our lives are not about us. But we come in here for our own soul development, our own soul growth. And we come in here to work with the collective and uplift everyone. But it starts with ourselves. We can't heal others until we have started our own healing process, right? The ways in which we give and the ways in which we offer, the ways which, whether we're giving and offering love, whether we're giving and offering healing, whether we're giving and offering anything, the quality at which we're able to give those offerings is directly affected by the quality at which we're able to receive it from ourselves. Now, what that means, go back to this example. This young lady, she swears, she's a big lover, right? And it's all she gives so much love. But then she often will have strife when and go into tailspins of suffering when she doesn't receive what she feels she deserves, right? Because she's had these unspoken conditions to her love, right? I've given you this, I've loved you in these ways, I've had these unspoken conditions, I expected all of these things to be returned, and now when they're not returned, I suffer. So, for one, once you start offering conditions on your love, wouldn't you see how that affects the quality of your love? Is unconditional love greater than conditional love? Or are they the same now? Because if they're the same now, then you can just walk around and say, yo, I can give out my love for $50, But that's not exactly how love works. So when you give love, the closer you can come to pure love, an unconditional love, just the giving and acknowledging of this other person, this other human, this other spirit, this other soul, being a direct reflection of you. And in fact, being an aspect of you, of the greater you, of the grander you. Well, then, now your quality of love that you have to offer increases. It greatens multiple fold. But it doesn't happen if you're not giving out high quality love yourself. Same thing with caregivers. I know some caregivers who work themselves to the bone, being caregivers, giving of themselves. And little by little, do they not realize, but as much as they think they're giving of themselves, they're showing up with attitude, they're showing up resentful, they're showing up angry because they're not receiving care themselves, because they're burning their own wicks at both ends, but not taking the time to actually rest and give care to themselves. Or they're doing all of these things to help other people, but they're not helping themselves. And then they're resentful that nobody else is helping them in return. So this is the trick in the reality that we have, where we have these ideas and we make these assumptions, we have these expectations that we are to be so selfless in the giving of the love, and to just think our souls will be fed by others, and they won't. And that is not because nobody cares about you or there's nobody there to offer you love, but you cannot control how others love, how others show up, the ways in which others love. All you can control is yourself and your own experiences and your own perceptions of those experiences. But if you're not offering your love to yourself first, if you're not offering your caretaking to yourself first and foremost, if you are not making sure your cup is full, your cup is never going to be full enough to fill everybody else's cup, right? You know, you have a pitcher, and the pitcher has all of the water in it. That is you and your love, right? And you want to pour it out and give everybody a little drink of water. That's great. That's beautiful. And then you give everybody a second round, another drink of water. That's lovely. Now you give everybody a third round of water for everybody. But you have not gone back to fill up this pitcher of water. Now your pitcher is empty. Then everybody who's been sitting around receiving the drink after drink from you is waiting for round 4. They're waiting for the next round, but you are completely depleted. You're now trying to pour drip drops. People are getting ungrateful. Where's my drink? Where's my drink? You have none to give. Your pitcher is empty. You have not filled your own cup. You have not filled your own pitcher. You have not given yourself any water to drink. You've given away all your water, but nothing to yourself. And then you've been mad at everybody else for not returning that, because you expect everybody else to kind of fill your pitcher, because you've been filling their cups. But that expectation, it doesn't work. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve society. Everybody has to make sure their cups are filled, and then they can share with others. And then go back and refill your cup, and then you can share with others. That's how this is supposed to work. That is the give and take of life. It is not the give to everybody else and then expect begrudgingly to be given back. That's not how it works. You give, you take a little for yourself. You give, you take a little for yourself. You give, you take for yourself. Make sure the self is replenished. Make sure the self is full. Make sure the self is taken care of at all times, because that's the only way the self is able to offer to others anything of value, anything of purity, anything of worth. If you're depleted and you think you're offering and you think you're doing some great work, I'm sorry to tell you, you're not. You're not giving the best of yourself. You're not even giving the good of yourself. Maybe you're giving half of yourself. Maybe you're giving less than that of yourself to what you think you're doing, because you're trying to be so selfless. You're trying to be so honorable according to the ways the world has taught you. And so this is how the atheists have got it right, because atheists understand that you have to serve self. You have to serve the self at some point. That your life, your reality is completely up to you. You have to serve the self in order to serve others. You cannot serve others and then expect the self to be served. And so a lot of religious people, non-atheist people, believe that they can just deplete themselves, serve everybody else, or even be completely selfish and not serve everybody, not serve anybody else, and just try to focus 100% on themselves, but think that they have to reach out to some sort of external God, reach out to something else to replenish them, instead of recognizing that it is all on them to replenish themselves, to serve themselves. So that's the message that I just wanted to drop with this. Remember to serve yourself as you're also serving others. Remember that the quality of your service to others is directly affected by this quality of your service to yourself. If you're in a good state, if you're in a positive state, if you're in a healthy state, a loving state, it is because you have been doing right by yourself. And it is from that state that you will be able to do right by others. it is from that state you'll be able to do right by the world. So I hope that makes sense. It's your boy Zay. Peace and blessings. I'm out.